Oh, hey, welcome to Drawing Club. Today we are drawing Fabiola, the Fabulous Fairy. This is Fabiola, the Fabulous Fairy. And to draw Fabiola, you will need a pencil and an eraser to erase any mistakes, and maybe a pencil sharpener, and at the end, a black pencil crayon or a black marker to outline. But as usual, I'm going to draw her with my gray marker just so you can see what I'm doing. So we're going to start Fabiola with a big circle for her head. So just like this, a nice big circle. Okay. Now she's got two big round eyes, so I'm going to draw one circle here on this side of her face, and another circle here on the other side of her face. And remember, if I'm drawing too quickly, you can always pause the lesson and catch up. And she's got, this part of the eye is called an iris, the bigger part. So she's got two circles for her irises. And then, like we often do, she's got a couple of little spots of light in her eyes. So a circle for one spot of light, and another circle for another spot of light, and a circle for a spot of light, and another spot of light. Now, she's wearing a kind of a headband with a flower on it. So I'm going to draw the flower first, and I'm going to start with just a circle for the middle of the flower. It's kind of like a daisy. And then I'm going to do the petals with curving lines. So one petal, and another, and just keep going all the way around with these petal shapes. Just like this. And one last petal. And this flower is attached to a kind of a headband. So I'm going to draw two curving lines just to there. And then it continues on the other side of the flower, just there. And then the top line for the top of the headband, like this. And then down like that. She's got a smiling mouth, so I'm going to give her a little upward curving line like this. And then underneath that, the bottom of her mouth, and then her tongue inside her mouth, just like that. And she's got quite short hair, so I'm going to just draw some little kind of curving zigzag lines underneath the headband. So just like this for her hair. And then a curving line down like this for the side of her hair. And the same on the other side, a curving line like a part of a circle for the side of her hair. Now she is a fairy, so she's got these kind of pointed elf ears. So I'm going to start, it's almost like drawing a triangle. I'm going to start a line there, and then bring it back to there, and then curve it up a little bit at the end for that earlobe. I'm going to do the same on the other side of her head. Go up like that, and then point it, bring it back down, and then curve it up at the bottom to connect her face. And then I'm going to draw a little line for the inside of her ear, just like that, and just like this. And remember, since you're doing this with a pencil, if you have any lines that are crossing other lines, we can always erase them at the end. The last part of her face is her eyelash. I'm going to make that a bit thicker at the side there, and then just give her two little curving lines for her eyelashes, like that. And the same on the other side, make it a bit thicker. Oops, that's okay, this is only our pencil, so you can always erase any mistakes. There we go. And one more eyelash, just like that. Now her body or her dress is going to be a sort of a almost like a triangle with a square top. So I'm just going to bring a line like this, and a line like this, And for now, I'll just make a straight line across the bottom, just so I know where the bottom of her dress is. And then we can add some zigzags to that to show a kind of flowing fabric. So like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just like that. And her legs, just going to draw 2 little lines and bring them together like a curving little bean shape coming out of the bottom of her dress there, and another one there. And then she's got sort of little lines for her socks, and then I gave her little kind of petals here, so a little bit like we did on the flower, little circles or little bumps to show that she's got some petals at the top of her sock, and on the other side as well, like this. And then a little curving line just to show she's wearing little tiny shoes, like kind of like ballet shoes. And then I didn't really give her hands, so I just drew these kind of almost like balloon sausage kind of shapes for arms, just like this. And then another one here on the other side, just like that. And then she's got wings. She's a fairy, so I'm going to do, coming right out of kind of the corner of her ear here, just like this. And the same on the other side, out of the corner of her ear, I'm going to do a top wing and bring it back in like this. Oops, that's okay. These are only our pencil lines now, so it's okay if we make some mistakes. You can always erase them at the end. And then she's got 2 bottom wings as well. So just one like that, and one like this. Okay. And then the last thing we need to draw, there's a little mushroom next to her. So I'm just going to draw kind of a half a circle shape like that. And then bring a curving line along the bottom like this. And then 2 little curving lines to show the stem of the mushroom there. And then a few little spiky lines coming in here just to show that the mushroom is splitting a little bit at the bottom. It's a little bit of an older mushroom. And the last thing we need to use our pencil for is just some zigzaggy lines to show that there's grass that she's standing on. So I can just do this quite quickly. I don't need to really be very careful with this because grass is all different kind of shapes. Some is longer, some is shorter, just like that. Here we are. There we go. So now we can switch over to our outliner marker or your outliner pencil. And this time, just pay attention. I'm not going to go over some of these lines because some of these lines I would want to erase. Like, for example, the line there at the side of her face where her ear is. I wouldn't use my outliner marker to go over that because that's a line I would want to erase at the end. So Fabiola is a fairy, which means she spends a lot of her time playing in the outdoors. And I think that that's something that's really important to do. And I feel very lucky because when I was a little boy growing up in Ireland, I grew up in the countryside. So my town and my house was very close to the farmers' fields and also to just lots of wild areas of kind of little forests and fields where really nobody was doing any work, so it was okay to play in them when we were kids. And so every Saturday and Sunday, I would always wake up early and then have my breakfast with my family, and then me and my brother would often go out. Oh, that wasn't very good English. I should have said my brother and I would go out into the into an area just behind where our houses were, where there was lots and lots of different plants growing, and you could go play in the grass, and you could build a fort out of sticks we would find, and kind of play in the trees and look at different interesting bugs. And it was a lot of fun. And I would play out there with my brother and sometimes my sisters and sometimes our other friends who lived nearby, right up until lunch. And then I would come back and I would have lunch with my family, and then we would go out again in the afternoon and play all afternoon outside. And really, kids who are my age, so now they're 45 years old, but people who are my age, we were really the first people to have computers at home and video games at home. My parents didn't have computers, and my grandparents didn't have computers when they were kids. And they had televisions. My parents' generation had televisions. But my generation was really the first who had video games and the kind of things that would make you maybe want to stay inside and play inside instead of playing outside. And so, of course, sometimes I did like to play video games, and I like to play with my computer, but I seem to always find some time every week to go out and play outside. And when I moved to Canada, when I was a teenager, I moved to a place called Kelowna. And again, we had a Nintendo at home, and my brother and I would play on it, and my sisters would play on it, but we still went outside a lot. I had a bicycle, and I would take it out. And there was also, I was lucky because in Kelowna there was also lots of forest and mountains just near where I was growing up. So I would go with my friends, we would hike, and we would sometimes pack some food with us in a backpack, and we would go for long walks together in the mountains. And it was a lot of fun. And then when I was grown up, I moved to Japan. I moved to Tokyo. And Tokyo is one of the biggest cities in the world. There are 30 million people living there, and it's full of buildings and lots of kind of concrete. And there are parks, little parks in the city. And actually, there are one or two big parks. But there wasn't really as much nature there as there was in the other places I grew up. So I found it was very important for me to get out of the city. And so my wife and I would both take a train out at the weekend, and we would go into the countryside, we would go into the mountains, and we would walk and hike. But one thing I really liked about Japan is that lots of people in Japan really pay attention to nature. They really pay attention to when the flowers come out, and what kind of insects there are, and how the seasons change. And so I learned a lot from living there. I learned about different kinds of flowers. I learned about different kinds of insects. That's really where I became very excited about bugs and started to take photographs of them and sometimes pick them up. Although you have to be careful with that. Some bugs do bite and sting, so you shouldn't pick up any bugs that you don't necessarily know very well if they're going to bite you or sting you, especially if you have an allergy. But I'm finding even now, here on Prince Edward Island, I feel very lucky that I live here, because here there's lots of beautiful beaches and there's lots of places to hike. And even near my house here in Charlottetown, I can go walking near my house, and there's lots of cool animals. I saw a fox the other day. I see lots of birds. There are some ospreys, which are a kind of big bird that live near my house. As you know, probably, there's lots and lots of bugs around here, and I'm really interested in bugs and taking their pictures. So I just find that getting outside really makes me feel happy and calm and good. And sometimes, I forget to go outside if I'm very busy with other things, or, sometimes I do watch a little too much television, or I don't play so many video games anymore. But, sometimes I just find that if I don't go outside for a long time, I do start to feel a little bit sad and a little bit just not very healthy. And so if you can play outside, I think it's a really good thing to do. Okay, so that is Fabiola, the Fabulous Fairy. I'll bring back the color version quick. Here she is. So you can see I gave her kind of a dark purple, black hair, light purple wings, a yellow dress, purple little shoes. I gave her kind of golden eyes, I decided, a little pink inside of her mouth. And that mushroom there, I colored a kind of blue and gray color. But of course, you can color Fabiola, the Fabulous Fairy, any colors you want, or you could even change her name to something else. All right, thanks so much for coming today, and I can't wait to see you guys again.